Hey everyone, you're watching We Had That, and today I'm going to talk about the 1985 Wave 4 G.I. Joe Alpine action figure. 1985 was an exciting year for me as a G.I. Joe fan. So many awesome figures came out that year, including my favorites, the Dreadnoks. Also, Flint, Shipwreck, and Lady J, who would go on to be major characters in the G.I. Joe universe, as well as the new version of Snake Eyes, and a pile of new killer Cobra troops all arrived in 1985. With so many awesome new figures, Alpine didn't really stand out for most people, but I thought he was a great action figure. Alpine was G.I. Joe's climbing expert. His file card lists him as a mountain trooper and suggests that he's really good at it. Sometimes, more often than not, there are little jokes written into the G.I. Joe file cards. On Alpine's file card, his full name is listed as Albert M. Pine. Al is short for Albert, which makes his actual name Al Pine. Alpine. Yeah, I know it's silly, but it made me smile. I typically preferred my Joes to be dressed in outfits that I thought, as a kid, looked like they could have been worn in the military. Although Alpine's outfit may not have looked quite like a military uniform, it didn't bother me at all because I thought someone with his specific set of skills would probably wear specialized gear for the specific missions that would call for a mountain trooper. And even though his gear was unique, it was designed so that the colors would blend in pretty well with a team of guys in camouflage. Alpine was dressed in brown pants and a tan t-shirt. Over the t-shirt, he wore a green jacket with black pads on the shoulders and part of the chest. He had long green gloves with brown pads and green boots. He wore a brown and black baseball-style cap and goggles. He also had a rope around his torso. Interestingly, Alpine didn't have any additional weapons molded onto the figure. I remember as a kid, I thought Alpine's accessories were super cool. I especially liked his black Beretta M12 submachine gun, which was based on an actual gun and looked amazing. He also had a black rifle that you could pretend shot a grappling hook attached to a rope. I used to pretend that it shot one of his other accessories, which was a rope with grappling hooks on each end, up to the top of whatever it was he needed to climb. And sometimes he would use it as a weapon to shoot at Cobra troops. In addition to his two guns and rope, he also carried a large black pickaxe with a loop below the handle, which I would use equally as a climbing tool and a weapon. The pickaxe could attach to his final accessory, which was a tan backpack. There was a small horizontal slit at the top of the backpack, which I would use to attach his grappling hook rifle. I'm not sure if this was the intent of the designers, but after seeing photos online, it looks like other people had it set up pretty much the same way I did. Overall, his gear was great, and when you compare it to most of the other figures that were coming out around this time, Alpine was very well equipped, which made me feel like I was getting my money's worth. In the Sunbow G.I. Joe cartoon, Alpine was a featured character a few times and made lots of smaller appearances. In fact, he appeared in almost half of the 95 episodes that were produced. The cartoon started out in 1983 as a 5-part miniseries, and a second 5-part series came out in '84. The two miniseries were well received enough, or sold enough toys, that they actually decided to make the G.I. Joe cartoon into a series starting in 1985. The series began with the third 5-part miniseries that introduced and starred new Wave 4 characters. Alpine's cartoon introduction was in the first episode of this series. Unlike several of the other characters, they actually drew Alpine to look like the action figure. He wasn't just recognizable, they really had the details down well. In the first episode, he and Bazooka led a team of Joes flying around with jetpacks to fight against Cobra, and in the second episode, he and Bazooka were driving a hovercraft. Neither of these were great uses of a mountain trooper, but in the third episode, Alpine and Bazooka were actually climbing a mountain. What's even cooler to me is that Alpine used the rope that the action figure wears around his torso to climb up the mountain, and they actually drew him not wearing the rope while he was using it to climb. Alpine was featured a good bit in this miniseries and continued to have a solid presence for the rest of the first season, but most of his appearances, including his biggest appearance, which was in the episode called Funhouse, had nothing to do with mountains or climbing. Still, at least he was there. Despite showing up fairly frequently in the cartoon, Alpine didn't get a lot of love from the Marvel Comics back in the 80s. He was only in 4 of the regular issues and 2 of the Special Missions issues, plus a page in Order of Battle, but that comic was basically just a page on each Joe with their file card and a new image of the character. His first appearance was in issue number 45 from March of 1986, where he and Quick Kick appear in 2 panels in their military uniforms, not the outfits that they were wearing as action figures. Then later in the issue, Alpine's in 3 additional panels dressed as his action figure, but all the dialogue there revolves around introducing that there's a new character named Alpine and not really telling you what the character's all about. Alpine's in issue number 46 a good bit, and this is definitely the best representation of his action figure and his character as a mountain trooper and a climbing expert of any of the regular comics. In issue number 49, Alpine's just a face in a crowd of G.I. Joes for 2 panels. And then in issue number 51, there's a page that features Alpine using his grappling hook rifle, which honestly is a pretty well-written page to feature the accessory. But that's about it for Alpine's appearances in the regular comic. Special Missions number 2 is a well-written story that uses Alpine in the role he was made for, being an expert on climbing. This is a good example of a story that actually makes me feel like Alpine was the best choice for this role on this mission, rather than just throwing some character into the team for no particular reason, which happened far too often some issues of G.I. Joe. And speaking of just randomly including a character who doesn't fit the mission, in Special Missions number 25, Alpine is featured a good bit throughout the issue, but he's wearing a business suit the entire time and covertly following a guy around the city. There are numerous other Joes that would have been a much better choice for this role. Not only that, but this issue came out in 1989, 2 years after the figure had been discontinued. But you know who was available for sale that year? Shockwave, the SWAT team guy. Wouldn't it have made more sense to have a SWAT team guy following around somebody through the city? You know who else was in stores that year? Storm Shadow version 2. At that point, he was on the G.I. Joe team. Wouldn't a frickin' ninja have been a better choice to secretly follow someone through the city? Oh well, I love the G.I. Joe comics, but it would have been cool if Alpine had been included more often and in roles that involved climbing. Looking back, that 4th wave of G.I. Joe had a lot of awesome new characters, but despite the competition, my Alpine figure saw a lot of action. He may have never been one of the main characters in the line, but he still stands out to me as a well-designed figure with a lot of cool gear. What did you think of Alpine? Did you have an Alpine figure as a kid? Did he climb to the top of your list of favorite Joes or fall short of what you wanted from an action figure? Tell me in the comments below. Also, please give this video a thumbs up and share it on social media. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell so that you'll be notified when I post new videos. And one last thing, if you're a fan of toys, you should know about Toylanta, the biggest toy show in the southeastern United States held annually just north of Atlanta, Georgia. Visit Toylanta.com for more information. As always, thanks for watching.